know. I feel like I'm in some like weird kind of space place where I'm not used to. I feel like I'm in some kind of purgatory. Do you know why? Because we're moving to a new house and I lost my nice, beautiful, credentials in the back and my cool lights that I had just set up and my nice, wonderful home office that I no longer have, but I will now in another different house. And I just feel like I don't know what to do, but that doesn't matter. So we're going to keep coming out with these videos. We're going to keep educating you public adjusters as often as we can to make sure that we're doing what we can to get back at the insurance company and get the clients the money they need. So, with that being said, killer intro in 3, 2, 1. What's up, advocates? And we're back. Of course we're back. We're not going to stop. We keep this train rolling. We keep this thing going so that we can keep educating you guys, the public adjusters, on how to fight these insurance companies. Not fight, I don't want to use that word, but to make sure that we're representing our clients the best that we can and getting them the money that they need to put their homes back together again. My name is Vince Perry, licensed and certified public adjuster in the state of Florida, in the state of Texas, in the state of California. Alright, you can find me on social media. Oh, but before you do that, make sure you subscribe below right now. We've got weekly content coming out every single week, and we've got an amazing podcast, Claims Game podcast. I'm interviewing some of the experts in our industry and some really great conversations about roofing, about contracting, about claims, and about life too. It's just really fun. I really enjoyed it a lot, and you should come and check out the first 10 episodes that we've got right here below if you scroll down. Also, you can find me on social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. We're always posting stuff. And if you get a chance, go on www.commercialclaimsadvocate.com and you will be able to subscribe to our email list. We're coming out with new and different things every single week that normal people who are not on the email list that they don't get. So make sure you put your email in there. Today, we've got a very special show. It's one of my favorite things that I like to talk about. And it's one of my favorite processes in the insurance claims process. And that's ADR, Alternative Dispute Resolution. What is alternative dispute resolutions? What that is when the insurance company finally extends coverage on a claim, you have the right, and there's different ways in the policy that state that you can go ahead and you can get more money on that claim. So don't think, even as a policyholder, that whatever the insurance company pays you is all that you're going to get. That's not how it goes, okay? Thankfully, the policy is written in a way where there are several different methods and several different ways that you could dispute that claim and get you more money. So for you roofers out there, this is also something that you could actually think about. So either you could do some of these things yourself, or you could bring on a PA to the claim to help you get the money that you need to get the money that you need to replace that roof of that client that you have. I went to the SRC Summit last week. It was a great show. April Hall, you are like a rock star. But I was hanging out with a lot of restoration contractors, and they have a little bit of trouble getting the money they need to replace the roof. Well, these are some methods that you could use even as a roofer, restoration contractor, but especially as a public adjuster to get your client the money they need. So first things first, I want to give you guys a really quick tip. When you're signing a claim from the beginning, this goes to all you public adjusters, make sure that you're not selling all kinds of hope to your client of getting top dollars, maximizing the claim. That's what I'm here for. Because what usually happens is what's called an undisputed payment is released. So if coverage is extended, okay, and the claim is not denied, they will release, the insurance company will release something that's known as an undisputed payment. Okay, that means the claim has yet to get disputed. It's just a payment saying, hey, we're extending coverage. We're going to send this money to you. This is what our adjuster says it's going to cost to do the repairs. But if there's anything else that needs to be done, or any extra, if something comes up during the repair process, or if you provide us an estimate from someone that says it actually is going to cost more, then we'll consider that. We'll review that and we'll get you more money. So that first check that goes out is an undisputed payment. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because I want you to make sure that the client, that the policyholder understands this. They need to understand this because a lot of times you're going to be representing them. You're going to have, let's say, $100,000 estimate, and the insurance company is going to pay $5,000. It happens all the time, okay? But if you can convince your client and the policyholder from the beginning that that's actually a win, why is that a win? Because you got coverage extended. One of the hardest things in our industry is just to get coverage. The insurance company has written the policy in a way that there's so many different ways that they can deny a claim. Faulty construction, pre-existing damage, long-term repeated seepage, wear and tear, settlement, earth movement, all kinds of stuff that's listed in the policy that they could pretty much take any claim if they really wanted to, and they could find a way just based on policy language to deny it. So the first hurdle that you have to get through, okay, if you are a part of the claim from the beginning, is just getting coverage. So that's what I tell clients all the time. I said, look, there's going to be 2 payments that are going to be coming in this claim, 2, sometimes 3. But the first one, we're just trying to get $1. I said, so I understand you have all this damage here. I said, but if they pay us $1,000 for all of this damage here, trust me when I tell you that's a win, okay? Because we've got coverage. Now that coverage has been extended, now we could go through the dispute process. And what I tell the clients is, now this is my time to shine. Okay, this is what I'm best at. I'm best at negotiating, putting together an estimate, and negotiating on your behalf to get you more money on top of that. So that's my first tip, is tell your client, if you're a part of the claim from the beginning, that you're not trying to hit a home run from the beginning. Okay, you experienced PAs know exactly what I'm talking about. You're just trying to get $1. If you get $1, that means the claim is not denied, they have accepted coverage on the claim, and they are willing to negotiate, okay? So that's the first thing, okay? Make sure that you convince your client that the goal in the beginning is just to get coverage. Believe it or not, the insurance company is trying to deny you whichever way that they can, and what you just really want is just to get that $1, okay? Because now you can present your estimate and you can get some more money. So that brings us now, finally, to the alternative dispute resolution process. Now, there's several things that you can do, okay? Several different ways that you can get more money. I'm going to sort of go through steps, but some of these steps can be interchangeable, all right? So it's not necessarily always that way. For example, like roofers and restoration contractors, what do? Usually they go for what's called a supplement, okay? They try to present their estimate, and they try to present their, general contractor's invoice or whatever. Some of them have already replaced the roof. Some of them are in the process and trying to get more money, or some of them have accepted the initial payment from the insurance company. They try to do some of the work, and they realize obviously that it's not enough money. So they basically, they submit a supplement and they try to get more money. Public adjusters, you can sort of do this too. I call it something different though. What I call it is more of a pre-appraisal settlement. I call it a pre-appraisal settlement because another one of the dispute processes is called appraisal. But before we get there, what you can do is, let's say you've got a $100,000 estimate and the insurance company pays $5,000. What you can do is, hey, we received your undisputed payment. Thank you for that. And thank you for extending coverage on this claim. However, we put together an estimate that is not quite jiving with what you have released. We actually have a lot of damage here that's more than what you guys have paid for, and please review this estimate that we've put together on what it's actually going to cost to do the repairs, and please consider maybe negotiating and trying to settle this claim pre-appraisal, pre-dispute process. And then usually you'll have a desk adjuster who's going to review that. Okay, he's going to review that estimate, and more often than not they do try to settle with you. The problem with this method is 2 reasons. You're dealing with a desk adjuster who doesn't have much authority on actual negotiating room and doesn't have much negotiating power, doesn't have much of a limit that they could really try to settle this claim. So more often than not, if you've got a $100,000 estimate and they just paid $5,000, let's say with deductible and everything, you're at about $8,000 or $9,000 of an estimate that the initial adjuster put together. I mean, honestly, they're probably going to get to about 25, 35, maybe 40K, maybe meet you around the middle. Usually now that's not going to be enough for you to try to settle this claim. And if you're putting together good estimates, I mean, a lot of PAs, I mean, you should be getting almost 100% of your estimate, if not 100, 80, 90%, somewhere like that, okay? I mean, sometimes you can go a little bit less. It all really depends on the situation, so don't hold me accountable for those numbers. Sometimes they do change. But frankly, if you're at $100,000 and they're offering 25, 35, that's probably not going to cut it. So the first problem with what I call a pre-appraisal settlement, or even maybe a supplement also, is that the authority is very limited. The other part that's not recommended, or that's not a good way to settle this claim is in the pre-appraisal, is because usually they're going to want it in exchange for a release. Okay? What's a release? A release is a claim killer. That's it. Insurance companies love when clients sign release. There's been several times where I walk into a house and they've paid the claim and they had the audacity to email a release to the client, and the client signed it without knowing what it was, and I try to get them more money, and obviously falls flat once I see a release has been signed. Most of those releases are ironclad. Once a release is signed, you can't do anything as a PA, and attorneys can't even do anything in litigation. The release is very ironclad. But what does that mean? That gives you leverage. Okay? It does. I don't recommend you guys signing releases. So any attorneys that are watching this are probably going to be like, no, don't recommend signing a release. Because again, it's a claim killer. However, that being said, if you're at $100,000 and for some reason this desk adjuster has some kind of crazy authority and offers you $75,000, $80,000 to settle this claim in exchange for a release, you have to discuss it with your client. Okay? But you also have to discuss with your client, like, here's the offer, but they're making you sign this document. Make sure that they understand that from the beginning. Make sure that they understand that, okay, the offer's pretty good, but you have to sign this document, which means that's it. I don't even want you to think about ever doing anything else with this claim or getting any more money on this claim. So it does give you some leverage when you could tell the insurance company, hey, we're willing to settle this claim and we're willing to sign this document, but you better get to a number that we're happy with. So obviously there's a lot of other things too. There could be ALE, there could be personal property, which takes a little bit more time. So if they're giving you a release, and let's say you like the offer and the client likes the offer, but it's involving full roof replacement, floor and kitchen, and the client has to move out, if you are going to consider signing that release, make sure you have something in there that when the process and the repair process begins, that ALE is still open to get reimbursed or to get incurred. So, keep that in mind. So that's the first one, supplement / pre-appraisal. That's what I sort of call it. Now, my favorite thing to do is to go to the next step, which is appraisal. Appraisal is personally my favorite. In Florida, we are as PAs allowed to act as the appraiser on the claim. That's not like that in the entire country. So some of you may like this process, some of you may not like this process. Because you will have to bring a separate person on to act as the appraiser, or if you come onto a claim after the initial payment has been made, after the undisputed payment has been made, then you could come on as the appraiser yourself and go through the appraisal process. Okay. Why do I love this process? It's because it's a little bit more experienced. People are a little bit more experienced is number one. So you get to sort of, I don't know, forget that. But also, it's relationship based, okay? So if you're just starting out in this industry, I would suggest try to go to appraisal. Try to go to as many appraisals as you can. Try to shadow people in appraisal as well. You want to get to know the opposing appraisers as often as possible. It's pretty important that you get to know these guys because it's very relationship based. If you're part of any kind of association, part of your state of public adjusters or of insurance adjusters, go to these things and meet these appraisers, okay? There are a lot of them most of them are very nice guys. But the other reason why I like appraisal, guys, is because it's not like when you go to the initial inspection and you have a field adjuster and the field adjuster says, I'm going to write everything up for $100,000. And then he kicks his estimate to the desk adjuster and the desk adjuster cuts it all up. And that $100,000 estimate ends up being $10,000 because he doesn't feel it. Why did you write this? Why did you write that? You shouldn't have done that. So the field adjuster ultimately doesn't have much say, unfortunately. Sorry, guys. In appraisal, it's different. Whoever it is that they do send out, although the appraiser is going out on behalf of the insurance company, again, if you've got a good relationship with him and if you have been able to prove a lot of the extra damage that wasn't paid for initially, whatever that appraiser says is what the insurance company has to agree with. So if you're able to sort of sell your claim, convince that appraiser, show him what the damage is and show him everything that's going on, and he's able to get to a number that you're okay with, that's it. You guys are good. An appraisal award is sent. You have the signature of you sign it, and the opposing appraiser signs it, and that's it. The claim is done. What is the downside of going to appraisal? That's it. It's done. So if you can't get to a number that you're happy with, what happens is, first, when you go to appraisal, okay, before you go to the appraisal, guys, you have to agree on an umpire. Okay, because if you and the opposing appraiser do not agree, then you will have to go to one final step, which is getting a third party known as an umpire to make the final decision on how much the claim is worth. Okay, another reason why you need to build relationships in these industries in this industry. A lot of the opposing appraisers also act as umpires as well. And a lot of these associations that you go to, you will see a lot of umpires there. So you want to develop a good list. A good list of umpires that you know, that you trust, that you know are fair, and will look at everything sort of objectively to make sure that to make sure that you get paid what is actually owed. So that's very important. Get to know umpires. Before you meet the appraiser out there, you need to agree on an umpire, because God forbid you meet the appraiser out there and it doesn't go well, and you guys end up in like some kind of huge arguments or big fight. Then you have to agree on an umpire after that. Not good. So make sure that you agree on an umpire. So if you and the appraiser do not agree, you have to go to the umpire, and whatever the umpire says is final. The reason why I went to that real quick, because I'm not trying to get into too much detail with all this stuff, is because in the appraisal process, that's it. It's done. Once there's 2 signatures on the award, the claim is done, and you can't really get much more money after that. Going to litigation is actually very difficult. I've heard that it's been done. I have actually tried it a couple times and it has not actually worked, but usually more often than not, the appraisal award is binding and it is final say on what the claim is worth. So keep that in mind before you actually request an appraisal. Keep that in mind on the fact that, once you do, if you settle with the appraiser, then you're happy. But if you disagree with the appraiser and the umpire comes back and is more on the side of the other appraiser, you're done once they sign that document. Okay. Another alternative dispute resolution is mediation. Now, for a lot of people, for many years, mediation is somewhat of a waste of time. What is mediation? The reason why, what mediation is basically you file with the state. So here in Florida, you file with the state of Florida. Very simple process. Takes about 5 minutes. Notifies the state, and then notifies the insurance company that a mediation has been filed. Sometimes the insurance company will file for mediation themselves. Here in Florida, when you file for mediation, there's actually some time limits. Where you got 21 days to settle the claim. So they may contact you to try to settle before the mediation. And here in Florida, it's 45 days from the date that you file to actually complete the mediation. So that's good. It puts them somewhat up on a time limit. The good part about mediation is that it's not binding. So if you go to the mediation, you go back and forth with the opposing adjuster, and you cannot come to an agreement, you could still file an appraisal after that. Or you could still go to litigation, which is another one of the alternative dispute resolutions we're going to get to. So that's the good part. The bad part is sometimes you fall flat. Sometimes you're meeting with another adjuster. Maybe it's the same desk adjuster you were negotiating with before. It could be even the field adjuster that you met out at the property. And they also have a limit on authority on what they could pay out. So you're going to have to give up something to settle for something. Also, if you're going to mediation on a denied claim, which by the way you can do, unless you've got some really hard evidence and some hard facts, chances are that's going to fall flat as well. I've had mediations where they've lasted an hour. I've had mediations where they lasted 5 minutes because, hey, are you going to extend coverage on this claim or what? No, we're not doing it. So then we're done. Let's go to litigation. It just happens. So mediation is you sitting next to your client. This is pre-Zoom days, pre-COVID days, but you sitting next to your client. Across the table is the opposing adjuster. And then in the head of the table is the mediator. And the mediator is basically just sort of there, kind of like a psychologist to make sure nobody gets in a fight, He'll say, Mr. Perry, you're the public adjuster of this person. Please state your case. And I'll basically what we're doing is we're negotiating for a number that we could try to. So I'll take some stuff off my estimate. Here's what we want to settle for. And then they'll counter, and then we go back and forth. Some people may go to a private room so you can speak to your client and figure out what is it that you want. Mediator will be there. Hey, I think I could maybe tell the guy to do this, and that. It's kind of a cool process, honestly. I've done it a million times. It's kind of a cool process. All of you should do it or shadow somebody in there. But like I said, a lot of times, limited authority, you're not going to get what you want. And also, but the good part is that if you fall flat in mediation, then that's it. The claim is over. Also understand that if you do decide to settle in mediation, more often than not, a release is signed as well. So keep that in mind. Make sure the client understands, hey, you're going to accept this money, but that's it. This claim is over and done with forever. So we've had supplement and pre-appraisal settlement. We've got appraisal and going to the umpire. We've got mediation. And then the last and final step, thankfully in Florida we can do this. So for those of you, Matt Mulholland, living in Georgia, I know that this is not really an option for you, but there's litigation. Thankfully here in Florida and in Texas, we live in a state where attorney fees and costs are paid for if and when the insurance company decides to settle. So it's actually a good course of action if that's it. If you've done everything that you can. You have failed, they have rejected your appraisal. You failed in mediation. You failed to try to negotiate and settle the claim pre-appraisal or through supplement. and there's really no more options for you as a public adjuster to go through, then you could recommend the client that, hey, we've sort of extended all of our means here based on what the policy states, and I suggest that we file a lawsuit on this one. So what the lawyer usually does is when the lawyer gets the case, more often than not, they will file a civil remedy notice. I will make a little disclaimer that yes, as a public adjuster, you can file a civil remedy notice yourself, but if you're not experienced enough to do this, I would suggest that you have an attorney do it. What a CRN is basically is they're just naming all kinds of complaints that the insurance company has failed to respond properly, investigate the claim properly. It's like in all, fancy statute language and stuff like that. But they put all their complaints, and the insurance company has 90 days or 60 days, 60 or 90. I think 60 days to respond. But anyway, that's, again, a public adjuster can do it, client can do it, contractor can do it. Anybody can do a civil remedy notice, but it's a lot of detail. It's statutes and stuff that you're going through, so it can be very complicated and daunting for somebody who doesn't have the experience, so let the attorney do it. Once the CRN is filed, if they're not able to come to an agreement, then that's when the attorney will file the official lawsuit. Deposition, discovery, different stuff. The downside to litigation, I think, as we all know, and like I tell my client, here's what I tell the client. Because we live in a state that attorney fees and costs are paid for, the good news is that, client, you don't have to pay the attorney. Okay? If the claim does settle, which most claims do settle, I think it's like 90-something%. The attorney fees and costs, all of your attorney fees and costs, client, is paid for by the insurance company. I tell them the only person you ever have to pay is me. The downside, and what I tell the client, is the only thing that it actually costs you is time. Okay, it is a lengthy process. I always tell people, assume that from the date that the attorney gets the file, assume at least a year from there. So we might have already been going through this for 2 to 4 months. But from the date that you file the lawsuit, I would say minimum a year. Anywhere from, and if I want to be nice, anywhere from 6 months to 2 years. Because sometimes they do settle a little bit faster. But, that's just sort of the way it is. So that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, I went into far more detail than I wanted to go through, but, and excuse the background. I mean, I don't have my camera, I don't have my mic. It's all in storage, guys. But I'm not going to stop doing videos. I can't. We got to keep this train rolling. So I'm in the hotel room. I got my light, thank God for that. But I'm using my laptop, and I'm using the laptop microphone. So I hope it sounded okay. I hope it looked okay. I hope you watched it to the end. And I hope you learned a little bit something. Alternative dispute resolution. We got supplements and pre-appraisal, appraisal, mediation, litigation. It's pretty much all the steps that you got in trying to get more money after the undisputed. But if you learned anything, tell your client that just getting $1 in the beginning is a win, and then that's when you shine. So that's it, guys. That's all I got. Vince Perry, licensed certified public adjuster. Click subscribe now. Come on. We've got weekly videos coming out. And go on the website, join our mailing list, and follow me on social media. Send me a message whenever you want. I love when you guys send me messages and ask me questions. Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram is where you can find me. And that's all we got. You guys have a wonderful day, wonderful week, whatever it is, and just I don't know, love others and enjoy your life, and don't get too stressed out. It's not that big a deal. It's not that serious. All right, guys. Peace out. Later.